Okay. And we're live here, folks. And I've got some guests on. I'm going to admit them all into the room. And hello.
Hey,
All right. Welcome.
thanks.
Welcome, everyone. We've got Mike here, too. And it looks like we've got pretty much everybody, I think.
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so hello, good evening, and welcome everybody to the first episode of the Haven Podcast Power Hour. We've combined all three of my podcasts, Then Is Now, The East Meets the West, and the Cult Movie Lounge, into one live monthly streaming broadcast. I'm your host, Re-Gor, and tonight we are going to take a trip to Long Beach, California for one of the most unique genre film events in the country. The Shakagogo Film Festival has spent years bringing together horror, cult cinema, independent filmmakers, midnight movies, live performances, and some of the most passionate movie fans that you've ever met. Joining us tonight is the man behind the madness, Eric Eichelberger, who's appeared on Then Is Now podcast a few times. And he's here with several filmmakers and creators whose work will be appearing at this year's festival. We're going to talk about the movies, the guests, independent filmmaking, and why events like Shaka Go are such an important part of genre culture. So grab some popcorn, dim the lights, and let's dive in. All right, Eric, welcome back. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Roger. Great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. And first, I got to ask before we get into anything, how are things going with your documentary, Exploit This?
Things are going well. I have a gentleman named Kevin who's been pitching it to various networks. So far, we've gotten some rejection letters, but we are holding in and hoping to get the thing on a streaming service. What we have so far is the pilot episode of a six-part series. So 6 total hours, right, of exploitation and documentary featuring lots of cool. We've talked about them in the past, but Larry Cohen, Roger Corman, Herschel Gordon Lewis, David F. Friedman, um, tons and tons of scream queens and people that are actors and actresses that were in exploitation. Recently, we did an interview with Fred the Hammer Williamson. We did one with Peter Atkins, who's a screenwriter of a lot of 80s horror, and he also was Clive Barker's partner for many, many years. We did an interview with him and Bruce LaBruce, who's a gay cinema independent filmmaker, kind of like a Warhol type character who makes exploitation. So we've been doing more and more interviews, but we're waiting to get some money essentially from a streaming service. And what we're doing in the meantime is we're actually on either Monday or Tuesday, we're going to launch a new Seed and Spark campaign, and we're going to fundraise and try to raise money for parts 2 and 3. We've got to pay for fair use, lawyer, and pay for editor and some other things. So we are working on episodes 2 and 3, but we're doing a really cool fundraiser through not Kickstarter this time. There's a newer one that's cool that people are using called Seed and Spark. So we're trying them out this time around. We did a really good campaign and raised like almost $20,000
Wow.
through Kickstarter last time, and that went all toward new interviews and also finishing episode 1, which is complete, good
Yay.
enough for us to pitch, but all the footage in it is not yet, licensed and or cleared by the fair use lawyers. So some of that is also, going to go towards that. But hopefully we start working with someone who's interested. I mean, it's a difficult climate out there right now on the streamers because they're really focused on true crime. And they're really focused on like historical stuff and really sensational. I mean, this is sensational, but it's also kind of history driven. But it's maybe not what you're seeing on Netflix right now. It was, like over COVID, there was tons of stuff like this on Netflix,
Right.
but like the sort of whole thing has shifted a bit. So we're reaching out to some other places like Shudder, who are more niche, who might be biting or interested. So if listeners, know of places and want to get in touch, or maybe they run a streaming network or they work for one, just reach out to us. We're easy to find, exploitthistheseries.com. And you can email us through there, or anxietyfilms.org. You can email us through there, or you can find us at Shaka Go on all the different social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and so on, TikTok.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's a great segue into Shaka Go. So we've got a whole guest group here, which is awesome. So briefly, tell us what Shaka Go Film Festival is and what you got going on this week, this month, and we'll get into all our guests here.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so Shaka Go is happening June 6th and 7th. And on the 6th, we're showing a whole lot of really cool classic cult movies, horror movies, cult movies. And we've got the original Audrey from The Little Shop of Horrors. That's the Roger Corman Little Shop of Horrors at 3 p.m. as she's coming out. Her name is Jackie Joseph. And she played Audrey and was in the movie along with people like Jack Nicholson and am I blanking on his name? The other star. Anyway, she's 93, so catch her at the Shaka Go. This is the first time she's done a Q&A about Little Shop of Horrors, or even seen it like at a big screening like this. So I want to get a lot of people out for that to cheer her on at 93. It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Dick Miller, that's the other person I was trying to think of that's in
Yes.
the original Little Shop of Horrors. So then we're showing a movie called Tales from the Hood that's directed by Rusty Cundiff. And he's also someone I interviewed recently for Exploit This. Really cool director. It did a movie called Fear of the Black Hat, which is hilarious, and Tales from the Hood, which also has some comedic stuff, but it's also horror, and it's an anthology, which I don't know. I love anthologies. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So we've got a Q&A with him that's being hosted by a friend of mine after the film screens at 5. And then we've got a really cool intro for the next film, Bride of Reanimator. Richard Elfman's wife, Anastasia Elfman, who Richard Elfman made Forbidden Zone and was also in the original Oingo Boingo lineup. He's going to be there. She's going to be there. And she's going to do this really cool bloody burlesque introduction with Brian Yuzna, the director of Bride of Reanimator, to the film. And then after the film, she's going to curate the Q&A with Brian for Bride of Reanimator. And then members of Oingo Boingo are going to do a really cool musical introduction with Richard, live musical introduction to Forbidden Zone, which will be followed by Forbidden Zone, and then a Q&A that Anastasia is also going to curate for the movie Forbidden Zone. And Richard Elfman is there. He's gonna participate in the Q&A. That's at 10 p.m. And then at midnight, for a midnight movie, we have the movie Prom Night, and we have the director Paul Lynch there in person. We have a Deadly Disco tease from Peep Show Menagerie, so more burlesque, and also a friend from Fangoria, Patrick, is going to curate that Q&A. We also have a gentleman named Lard Humongous who's going to introduce the panels that are happening that are being curated by the various people. So he's going to kind of come in and do some introduction. And my friend Chris Beyond, who runs various burlesque things like Peep Show Menagerie, is going to be there stage managing. I'll be there as well. And that's what's happening on Saturday. So a really packed day. And then on Sunday, we have all independent horror features and shorts. We have 2.5 hours of shorts, and we have 3 feature films. Some of the features and the shorts filmmakers are joining us on this podcast. But at 3 p.m., we have Mike Davis's Dead, White, and Blue. Nate Meyer's film The Bank Yank at 5. At 6:30, we have the 2.5 hours of shorts, and some of the shorts filmmakers will tell you about their films on the podcast. And then we have a film called Quiet After Supper, and one of the actors from that film is also joining us on this podcast. So, a really cool lineup of independent features and shorts happening on Sunday. We also have vendors at the show, giveaways, burlesque, live music, all kinds of food and treats if you want to eat and drink. And, the vendors are selling things like Blu-rays, VHS. Very cool. It's at the Art Theater, 2025 East 4th Street in Long Beach. You can take the Blue Line train there from anywhere in the city, or you can drive. There's plenty of parking. You can get your tickets at shakagogo.com. You can also go to the Art Theater's website and get tickets there. And some of our sponsors include Anxiety Films, Severin, Vinegar Syndrome, Peep Show Menagerie. And that's about what I've got. Thanks, Roger.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. And one of my favorite things about Shaka Go isn't just the classic films, it's also giving the independent filmmakers a place to showcase their work. So we're going to go around the table here, and I'm going to go in the order that I see. I know that on everybody's screen it's sometimes different. And Brian, we'll start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you got going on for the festival here?
Sure. I'm Brian Middlestad. I'm the lead actor of Quiet After Supper, as well as one of the producers. So we are showing our feature and really excited to be down in Long Beach. Our director is from Long Beach, so it's nice to bring the film home.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Next up, we have Serena.
Hello, I'm Serena Covarrubias. I'm a writer, director, and producer of a sci-fi comedy called She Fell from Space. And we're really excited to be part of this festival, actually. We have cast and crew member coming to the festival as well, because this is, it's pretty cool to be part of such a great lineup.
That's great. That's amazing. And Mike, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
My name is Mike Davis. I'm the writer director of Dead, White, and Blue, which is a green movie made entirely out of recycled stock and public domain film footage.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And last but not least, we have Ramsey. I think your mic is muted, Ramsey, if you can hear me, if I could speak. No? All right, well, maybe let's see if I can ask him to unmute. He may have walked away from his computer too. Okay. All right, so
Well, I could tell you Ramsey's movie's called The Scientist.
okay, good.
And it's screening as part of our shorts program, over 2.5 hours of shorts. And it is a really cool little, science fiction-y type of movie that
Excellent.
I'm sure when Ramsey gets his microphone figured out, he could tell you more. But that's happening on Sunday, and it's at 6:30 p.m. The shorts program, which is the Shocking Shorts, is happening, and we have so many cool, a lot of local filmmakers, not just from Long Beach, but also from the whole Southern California area. So San Diego, Los Angeles, Long Beach, Pomona, or different parts of Southern California are some of them are premiering the short films like they've never been seen. Some of them might have been shown once, and or twice, but they're on the festival circuit, and they're showing their shorts, and all the shorts are really fun. I don't know if me like me, Roger, but I love watching cool, independent features and shorts that are made on low budgets, because there's so much like ingenuity that goes into that,
Yes.
like When people make films with, very little money or resources, they've just got to have the maximum creativity. So, I really love curating. First of all, I love showing local stuff because we can actually get the filmmakers out there. We can actually have Q&As, or, and filmmakers can network with each other, which is really cool, and make connections, which is really cool. So I love to program local stuff. I both do the festival here and in New York. So I end up meeting filmmakers that live in New York and in Southern California. So Shaka Go loves to program, local people's films, both because, then we can get the filmmakers to the festival and they can talk about their films, or they can network if they're, shorts filmmakers, because not every shorts filmmaker can do a Q&A, but we do a really cool networking afterward, trade numbers with everybody. We take a group photo. It's just a lot of fun.
Excellent, excellent. And Ramsey, it looks like you got your mic going. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what's going on? Oh, no, I can't hear him. Can you guys hear him? No, and you can't hear him.
Well, Ramsey might be having technical difficulties. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. There was some sort of weird thing going on there. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I had gotten a call in from my boss. I'm actually at work. I'm like the rental manager at a rental house that like rents out like cameras for movies and commercials and things like that. Like way bigger productions than things I work on. So
So why
But I
don't you
get
tell
to
us
be in
what you
charge of
got
those
coming up here
packages.
at Chakagogo?
Yeah, I'm excited. I really like Eric and everything he does, and big fan of Shaka Go and this sort of I guess I mean support. I mean they support me. I support what they do. I believe in what Eric does, and I'm excited to show this weird little short film that we have called The Scientist, and it's pretty trippy. And yeah, I don't know, but yeah, very excited. And
Excellent,
coffee.
excellent. And we have another guest here, Nate. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you've got going on for Chakagogo?
Hey, yeah, thanks. Sorry for being late.
Okay.
So I've got a feature called The Bank Yank, which is basically a screwball comedy about a throuple planning a bank robbery.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's
Awesome.
one of the actors described it as if Dr. Seuss, Shakespeare, and your darkest fantasy had a three-way.
Oh, that's cool. That is so cool. So let's go around and I'm going to ask everyone a few questions. Now, what inspired your project? And when you were working on it, which came first? Was it the idea, the characters, or the story? Serena, why don't you go first?
Sure. Yeah, this one. So our house was in the LA fires. Um, and after that happened, I'm Mexican American, so the ICE raids began. And at that point, with everything that had been happening in the world, I was like, you know what? You could probably drop an alien in my backyard and I wouldn't even blink. And that was the beginning of the story for She Fell from Space, because that's essentially the plot. It's about a fire survivor who is just trying to get his life back, and then an alien drops in, and he doesn't know his neighbors. They don't relate together. He's very fish out of water in the situation, and they all try to navigate this situation with an alien. So that's kind of the origin story of how we ended up making this one.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Brian, now you produced which film did you produce?
Yeah, Quite After Supper.
Sure. Why don't you tell us about what inspired that project?
Sure, sure. It's kind of an interesting one because it's a character study of a serial killer and it's half documentary, half narrative. And so what's really cool is Frankie, the director, reached out and we're buddies and was like, I want to make something. I want it to be super low budget. I have this idea about interviewing a serial killer. Can you improv it? So we had about a 2 hour improv session that he set up. He's a documentarian, so he did it all himself. And then after that, he sort of built the couple of narrative stories that weave throughout it around a lot of the answers that I gave, which kind of came from real life and I twisted into this sort of serial killer sort of reasoning. So it started with that 2 hours. A couple months later, we shot for about 8 days, and yeah, it was it was an interesting project to kind of do it that way. I hadn't done one like that, so yeah.
Travel out of here. Cool. Thank you.
Nice, nice. So, Mike, why don't you tell us what inspired the project you worked on?
Just in the way that Eric was talking about his kind of exploitation heroes. Um, my inspiration comes from the masters, Roger Corman and Ed Wood and Dave Friedman and all the people who sort of made the most out of very few resources and ended up doing things that were really innovative and crazy. So I wanted to make a movie. I didn't have money, so I'd been collecting a lot of old footage, stock footage, public domain stuff, government films, and wanted to see if I could make an entire feature just by cobbling all of that footage together. So that's what I've done with Dead, White, and Blue. It's a uh, comedy satire. It's got all new story, new dialogue, and it's very trippy and crazy and wild, and I hope people come out and see it.
That's cool. That's cool. Nate, why don't you go next?
Yeah, so my first feature was totally different, more of a art house romantic drama, and but silly, dumb comedy has always been where my heart is, and wanted to make something that, as everyone's kind of saying, on a budget that wouldn't destroy me. And I love crime, getting the team together stuff. So thought it'd be fun to have a bank robbery where it's more about the planning of the robbery and the messed up dynamics of everyone in between.
Excellent, excellent. And Ramsey, what inspired your project?
I mean, it's really a very hard one to describe. I think more than anything else I've done, probably, or a lot of other stuff. I usually make. I mean, not usually, but like I haven't really made shorts or a short in a long time, and so I've been kind of doing that more. So it's a bit more experimental. But really, I wanted to like just really push the boundaries of I don't know if your mind when you watch the film. I don't know. It's John Carius, who I'm a big fan of. He's like a character actor who played the lead in a movie I did. That's a feature that's on like Tubi and a bunch of platforms and stuff right now called First Person Savior. And like we've just been dabbling. I shoot a lot like when I can. I don't really know what I'm doing sometimes. And yeah, this is sort of one of those projects. There's actually stuff in it that I shot like maybe like 12 years ago that's also in it. It has a bunch of different stuff in it. And yeah, you're just like it's a scientist. Like I thought it would be really interesting to put you in the. I'd made a film already with him that was sort of puts you in somebody's head space, And so I figured like, oh, let's take that step further and really like I did in a feature and it was like real subtle and kind of mellow, but still obviously very intense, hopefully the viewers. But this one I wanted to pack it since it's going to only be like 9 minutes or something, that has to be super visceral. So it's yeah, it's a real I don't know, it's an experience. I hope
Yeah,
people watch it.
that's awesome. And what was the biggest challenge in getting it made for you?
I don't know. I mean, I actually I don't know that this was probably like my least challenging work that I've ever made.
Interesting, interesting. Serena, how about you? What was the hardest part of getting your
Oh,
film made?
oh gosh, there's a laundry list. I think the first part is that we actually thought we were going to get more money than we did. We got a small grant for it, and then on top of it, we had really insane timelines for delivery. And this project, by the way, is a hybrid. It is both a short and a vertical microdrama. So we had to release two different post processes. So we're talking about doing that with something that has special effects in it. So it was insane. I think trying to deal with that and then navigate certain things with the fire because we don't have our home um, just amped everything up because we're sitting there buying equipment as we're getting ready to shoot this stuff to replace it really quick to make sure that we have it. And I just have to say that my team, two of which also had to flee because of the fires, everybody was amazing. And they just, even my actors, they were like all in from the beginning. And it was just wonderful to work with that group of people. It was very healing in that we got right back on the bandwagon and did something really cool very fast. But I would say, would I plan it that way? Would I plan shooting a short that quickly after a fire? No, I don't think so. But I guess I lived.
Brian, what about you? What challenges did you encounter?
Yeah, you know what? I think as an actor in this and having worked with Frankie once before, what was really interesting, and I just have to like praise Frankie for this, is we were looking for money for sort of a bigger version of this project, and we kept getting denied, and we were like, let's just go for it. And Frankie, like I said, is a documentarian, so he was sound, he was DP, he was directing it, he edited it, he had one light, and it doesn't look like that. And so, I think that might be the biggest challenge was watching him run around and do all of these things and then allow for a true narrative piece to come out. And just to trust him to build it off of something that many of us didn't see the other parts. We weren't all in all of the scenes. So he really created something out of that interview that was probably the biggest challenge, I think, to watch him do that as a solo creator. It was pretty awesome. Very inspiring.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And Mike, are you there?
I am.
Okay. Did I already ask you what the challenges were that you encountered?
No, for me, with this process, it's always just gathering all the footage that I want to use. It's kind of like the filmmaking process backwards. I start with the finished footage, and then I have to do all the editing. So for me, just gathering hundreds or thousands of hours of footage from various sources, stuff that I can use, and then trying to cobble the story together. It's a lot of fun, but it's very time consuming, and that's probably the biggest challenge with what I do.
Right, right. Yeah, I can see that. And Nate, did I ask you that question already? No? All right, why don't you go ahead and tell us your
The
thoughts.
fact that my editor is a good father because he was raising his toddler and it took us about a year and a half to edit. But the nice thing was he's a great editor and a great collaborator, and it always just kept coming back to, are we laughing? If we are, great. If not, let's stick with it. What's the next thing? How can we change it? And but yeah, I mean, everything always pops up, but we had a great crew and people who really believed in it and, you know, made it work. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to throw this out to the whole group, and anyone can jump in whenever you want. But did your film turn out the way that you originally envisioned it?
I would say so. I mean, it always changes, but
Anyone?
but the yeah, it turned out turned out roughly what I wanted it to be, of a fun, silly time. So, yeah.
I would say
Okay.
it turned out better. I'll say that much. Because of how much love everybody put into it. And, I think that just the creative energy that everybody lent to the project just boosted it in a huge way. And the actors just really took on those characters. This is the Rhapsody chapter.
I also feel like it
Anyone
turned,
else?
yeah,
Yeah.
it turned out very different than I think we expected. I think going in, there was the interview, and then the creating of the story that Frankie did was solo, and so to come back and see what he pieced together, it's not linear exactly. So to see how he edited it together and how it was in his brain was pretty incredible.
Interesting. Interesting. And what do you guys think? Like, what's the biggest lesson that you may have pulled away from this experience? I mean, especially making short films, it's like they say, writing a short story, it's not as easy, not to say that making a feature film is easier, but telling a shorter story, getting more across in a smaller amount of time is difficult. And so for those who did short films, what was the biggest lesson you learned in trying to craft that? Anyone?
I will say, just do the thing. Like, don't think too hard. Just do it and let it become its own creature, because that's kind of how these things are. You start out from the writing room thinking that it's going to be a certain kind of way, and you try to kind of keep the ship in that trajectory, but you got to be open to letting the universe put in its own 2 cents. So I think doing that, setting a deadline, being like, nope, we're going to do this, and just jumping in.
Interesting. That's a very good answer. Ramsey, what about you?
In all honesty, I do think that like it came out exactly how I wanted it to be, but that's partly because I didn't know what it was going to be in the first place, sort of. It started. Basically, the easiest way to put it is that it started with we started shooting some stuff. I don't know how to say that. Like, hey, come over. I have this sort of like this idea of this character. I don't know what this is going to be, but like, let's shoot some stuff. And I end up using not using so much of it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff.
Right.
We're just started building a character type, and I didn't know what it's going to be for. And then that so it sort of grew from there. And then that's why, like, yeah, it gave me a lot of freedom to put in other things and kind of put you in his, like I said, his headspace. It's really just like like there's a lot of things that I was doing with it at the same time that it was almost like there's a practical purpose to the short. In other words, like trying to, it's not even about, I mean, maybe somebody will watch it and go, wow, it's super innovative, but that's only because I'm trying new things out.
Right.
But I don't know, that sounds really stupid, but like, I'm trying to do some things that I haven't seen anybody do this. So like, I want to try that, see what it looks like or sounds like, and so I just did a bunch of that in one short.
Nice. Hey, you don't know till you try, right?
So it's like I'm really trying to make films over time that like feel like you're, like you don't really have to be on drugs or schizophrenic or bipolar or whatever, but I'll give you that experience.
There you go. That's awesome. Nate, what about you? What lessons did you learn from making your film?
Yeah, I mean, I think I hear what you're saying about the being open to the universe, and I agree, but I think it's also the leaning on like listening to your gut and making, things are going to change and following the path, but just listening to your gut so much because that's how the piece becomes part of you. And, with all the AI stuff going on these days, the thing to make it different is to make it so very specifically you.
Right, right. What about you, Mike?
Well, I wanted my film to look like a blaxploitation grindhouse, low budget action movie that was shot somewhere between 1978 and 1983, and it did come out looking just like that. So I was able to accomplish that. In terms of lessons, mine is a comedy. It's feature length, and comedy's subjective. So what I learned is that it's very important to just have a lot of jokes, way more jokes than you think you need, because generally speaking, only one out of whatever the percentage is, if let's say 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 gets a laugh, you need to make sure that there's 10 jokes in every scene so that at least there's going to at least be one laugh. So that's what I learned. Jokes, jokes, jokes.
More jokes per capita.
Yes.
By the way,
That's
I
awesome.
don't know to interrupt, but I
No, go
haven't
ahead.
seen your film yet, but I'm like I'm like already a huge fan of your work, and like I listened to this I think it was on Projection Booth podcast. They did an like what's his name, Mike White did an
Yeah.
interview with you about your film, and I was very curious. I've seen some, I started looking at some of your work, and I want to watch the whole film, rather see it on the big screen. Hopefully, I can be there at the same time to see it. But I thought I was curious if you were like influenced by like Robert Downey Sr. at all, like Putney Swope and stuff like that.
Well, thanks for saying that, Ramsey. Yeah, that is an inspiration, especially for this particular movie because it's really political. I mean,
Yeah, I was curious
not
because
like
I listened to the racial and political stuff and
yeah, and it's not political. Like, there's no reference to any actual real people,
right.
particularly one one person, but just the whole attitude is very anti-establishment and very anti-authoritarian, and it's basically like a big fuck you to racism and the right wing. And so if you're feeling frustrated about everything that's been going on, then hopefully it's a cathartic experience to just kind of be able to laugh about some of that stuff and get your frustrations out in a creative and healthy way.
That's awesome.
Nice. Nice. So, Eric, I got a couple questions for you. You've been doing this for how many years now?
Sorry, I had to unmute there.
That's fine.
So the festival itself, I did from the years 2001 until 2004. And we had really cool guests at that time, like ones that I got involved in my documentary project, like Jack Hill was a guest of ours who did Spider Baby and Foxy Brown and Coffee. And we had Roger Corman, who obviously, has done tons of stuff in exploitation and genre filmmaking. We had David Friedman, who was Herschel Gordon Lewis's partner and made the Blood trilogy, and we showed his movie She Freak. We had Joel M. Reed, who did Bloodsucking Freaks. We showed that film. We had Mark Pirro, who did the movie Newest Colony of the Dead and A Polish Vampire in Burbank and Curse of the Queer Wolf, and we showed some of those. We had Richard Elfman previously, way back then, and showed Forbidden Zone, so we're kind of repeating on that. But he was great, so we invited him back. We had Stuart Gordon, R.I.P., and showed Dagon one year and Reanimator another year. But now we have Brian Yesna, who was his partner and producer, back, so we got some continuity. But it was just after the pandemic, so 4 years ago, as soon as we were starting to be able to do things like this again, have gatherings and so on, we invited that year, we showed Blood Diner and invited the director of that, Jackie Kong, who's, one of only a handful of woman directors that make this genre film. So she was really cool to have. And we had the movie Greasy Strangler, which is one of my more modern movie favorites because it's so weird and such a unique, bizarre movie. We had the stars of the movie. We didn't have the director because he's an English guy, but we had like 4 stars of the movie: Sky Elabar, Gil Gex, Carl, and Michael St. Michael's. So that was a really cool year. And then we just kept doing it every kind of May, early June. I try to do it the weekend after the Monsterpalooza because that's such a huge event. I don't want to compete with that event, but I'd rather go to the event and hand out flyers and stuff and have people, from that event come to my event. So the last couple of years I've done it the weekend after Monsterpalooza, which has made it fall in June. but sometimes Monsterpalooza is a little earlier, like it can be as early as April. So it's kind of like wavered between late May and early June. And then the festival I do in New York um, is actually in Brooklyn, and at a place called Nighthawk, and also in Ridgewood, Queens, at a really cool cinema bar. It's a lot smaller, but it is the same spirit. And we've had filmmakers out there like Larry Fessenden and Frank Henenlotter come out, who are New York, natives that are working in genre stuff. We showed Larry Fessenden's last movie, which is called Blackout, which, if you haven't seen, it's a brilliant werewolf movie. His movies are very political and very timely, and very much monster movies. He loves making monster films, but they do have a like George Romero, a sort of political feel to them, and that's why I love him as a filmmaker. Larry Fessenden, he's really fantastic, one of my favorites. We also showed his first movie, which is called Habit. And then last year we had really cool people, like we had Peter Atkins, who I mentioned I interviewed recently and showed Hellraiser 2, and we also had the director of that film at the event. And then we had Joe Dante and showed his movies, Piranha and The Howling, and we had the star Belinda Blasky of both The Howling and the year before that we had Fred Decker, and we had Tommy McLaughlin, who did the sixth installment of Friday the 13th. So over the years, we've had a lot of different cool guests, showed a lot of cult movies. I'm talking about next year potentially showing Night of the Comet and having Kelly Maroney come out. In the past, I had Brink Stevens and Michelle Bauer, and I had Linnea Quigley. So it would be really cool to have Kelly Maroney. And God, I had another idea about a film for next year. But yeah, I'm already started thinking ahead on that, because, it's good to get people that are local. There were people that live in Los Angeles, which isn't that hard, when you're talking about the entertainment industry. And New York, isn't that challenging to find, people that live there, in terms of like putting together a festival on the cheap, because we do have to pay to license the films. But usually the directors just come and do it because they like seeing their movie with an audience. They enjoy engaging with people, and then we've had some guests that also, might sign autographs and charge a little fee, just like a convention. We had Lynn Lowry, and she did well with autographs and stuff like that. And we showed her movie Shivers. We also had one of the actors from Shivers, one of the main actors, Alan Coleman, really cool Canadian actor, but he lives here. So just being based in Los Angeles, it's helpful, getting these different folks over the years. But yeah, we started in 2001. We took a break and then we came back.
Nice. Nice. And you've dealt a lot with I'm not dealt with, but I mean you've played a lot of independent films and had the independent filmmakers and actors and everything on in your festivals. And I'm going to ask you this question, but I also want to kind of throw it out as maybe a group discussion if you guys want to sort of jump in. What's one thing, in your opinion, and could be different for every one of you, but what's one thing that you think audiences don't understand about independent filmmaking?
I mean, budget.
Yeah.
I was gonna
I mean,
say
no
that.
matter what the budget scale is, I mean, like it'll always be a disappointment for people. I mean, there are people who like watched, even the films that are hitting right now, which I'm very excited about. And I just saw Backrooms just yesterday and really liked it. But like even when a movie's like beyond anything that we could make, perhaps budget wise, people complain. So imagine like making it for a lot less money, like we do. So that's one thing, But yeah, I don't know, being realistic about that. A lot of people don't realize, obviously, all the work that goes into it and all that. Not that you expect them to. So
That's
Right.
what I was gonna say too, is that the amount of time and effort that gets put into something like this that you usually as an independent filmmaker don't make any money on or make very little money to keep doing that thing, which is why it's so important to go to the festivals like these and go out and support filmmakers and actually be there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something Eric's been talking to us about. It's really difficult to get people out of their houses and to buy a ticket and actually go somewhere to see a film. It's so easy and convenient now to just basically see anything sitting in your living room with just a click of the remote. And getting people out into the world is really important to us, and so I really encourage people to do that.
Yeah, I
Right.
also that there are teams on studio films. There are teams per job, and
Yeah.
in so many of these indie films, it's like maybe you have a couple people for marketing, but it's definitely you don't have that many people for this, or it's one person doing all the things. And so I think when you start explaining all the pieces that go into it, distribution and such, it people are like, oh, you're doing that. You have to do that as well. So it just keeps going. So I think that's something that people don't always catch on to.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
definitely agree with all these. And I think maybe also the number of favors that no one's being paid anywhere near what they deserve. And it's just a lot of, hey, I can do this for you on a later thing. If you do this for me and bring this person and that gear. And, I mean, yeah,
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, it's funny when you think about it, like even people like John Carpenter, some of his early films, half the credits are different names, but they were all him, you know? So if someone's if now I'm sure you come in contact with a lot of people, young people especially, who want to become filmmakers. And what's the first thing that, well, what do you advise is the first thing they should do? If they say to you, "Hey, I want to be a filmmaker, what do I do?" And I'm sure the answer is different for every one of you. But Ramsey, why don't you go first?
I mean, obviously, there's so much. I mean, I don't think that you necessarily have to go to film school per se, but I mean, obviously, you should love you should love it so much that you want to know the mechanics of how to, the mechanical aspect of how to make everything, and so I think it's very important for anybody to like study film, in a way, like to like read some books, find out like how shots work, or just watch the films and watch how how action works. And I mean, I feel like all of that's really important, but the most important thing to me is just that you just if you have a voice, you just pick up the camera honestly and just shoot. I mean, it's like, especially nowadays with like the advent of like all this tech that's just available to everybody. I mean, yeah, there's so much content, perhaps too much, and that's part of why we have trouble getting our stuff seen. But I don't have a problem with encouraging more people to do the same thing.
Nice. Let's
So,
throw
I
that
mean,
out
we have
to
so much to share. There's so much to share.
right, right. So I throw that out to a wider discussion here. If what would you say to them if that they should do tomorrow? If I came up to you and today and I said, "Hey, I want to make a movie," what would you tell them to do tomorrow? Anyone?
Well, can I just say one last
Go
thing
ahead.
with
Yeah.
that, to answer that at least, is that I think that the most important thing for them to do is to think in realistic bounds. Like how can you, whatever it is, you have an idea, and then you have to create the architecture around how you can make that idea real. And with whatever, you're like, oh, you have $5. Okay, there's a way to make something with $5. You have $500. Likewise, 5,000, 50,000, and like, but the idea should work with that idea, and then it's really solid. But like when people like want to do something like, oh, I want to do Indiana Jones, but I'm going to do it for like $20. Well, that's cool if that's that Raiders, thing that the kids did. That's incredible, but like that's not, anyway. But yeah, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to understand the resources that you have available to you first. You might not have any money, but you might have a neighbor who has a really cool backyard, that you can use or whatever. Or you might live in an interesting place that has really beautiful, backgrounds to shoot in. But I'm very big on the writing process. Writing is free. It's definitely the cheapest part of the filmmaking process. It doesn't cost any money to just type. And so I recommend starting with a script and spending as much time as you need to make it great. And then that's going to make everything that comes after that a lot easier.
Right. Right.
I would back up Mike on that and say that, when I made my earlier films, especially one of them, I had such great ambitions and many different locations, so many actors and so on. And, I really went broke spending my own money thinking, oh gosh, I'm going to make millions on this. And what I would do again, or caution people to do is just spend that time in pre-production instead of, and also to do things, to take advantage of things that exist now, like crowdfunding. Didn't really exist at the time. But put that energy into crowdfunding because or some kind of funding, because ultimately I think I read Make Your Own Damn Movie and I was just inspired to get out there and make my own damn movie, but it ended up being very hard on my marriage and on other aspects of life. So even when you're doing it, treat it like it's your job and not don't treat it like you're making Fitzcarraldo and it's life or death. Otherwise, you're probably going to screw up every other avenue of your life, in the process. So I would say, find the funding. Don't, spend your own money. In fact, try to find a way, like I have with the festival, to make a little bit of money on your film. Like if you spend $500 and you make $1,000, you've still made $500.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you spend $150,000 and you make $5,000, then you've lost a lot of money and not made any. So just try to keep realistic about your number of locations, the way that you write it, and use one of these avenues like crowdfunding or some other kind of funding. Spend other people's money, not your money.
Right.
I don't know how to do that part. I have yet to figure that one out.
Actually, yeah, I can give you some tips if you'd like.
I don't know how to get money from the other people, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. I actually got this question from my niece who wants to become a filmmaker. So, honestly, the thing I would say before even sitting and really overthinking it is to just take out your phone and start putting something together. Start actually doing the mechanics of the thing and get dirty and get in there and just start doing stuff, and don't think about how to what type of budget you need or anything like that. We have all sorts of things now that didn't exist 20 years
Right.
ago, that you have access to. So go try that and then see how you like the process, because I think that a lot of people kind of idolize filmmaking, but once they get in the process, they're like, you know what, I don't like directing, or I really don't like camera work or something like that. But in order to know that, you have to get in there and try it first.
Right.
I want to kind of jump on that too, because I'm a little antithesis on there's a lot of logistics go into, but check what you've got access to. A lot of people have a phone, and just I almost think, no, dream bigger, go for it, start making the things with the access that you have, because I just see so many projects just spiral into not happening, because there's so much focus on funding and these sorts of things that are all this red tape, when there are some really amazing things that are happening right now. I mean, I look at these silly Instagram, non sequitur films that they're 45 seconds and they have millions of views, and then someone gets them on. I have a friend who got a project from these crazy things, and so I'm just use what you have and just go make things. I think money's very important, but we will get lost in that quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the financial question starts happening after you've gone through that initial and you're trying to move up the scale. That's when it starts to hurt your brain. But yeah, at the beginning, you have to at least love some aspect of that process to even want to keep doing it.
And I
Right.
think also finding your community, finding your people who can make these things with your phone or, whatever it is with you. Also, this is not something I know anything about, but probably learning Blender.
Oh yeah, that's helpful. That as well. Also, it helps to be married to your editor, like me.
Or marry rich.
There you go.
Yeah, you
Or
get
be the
yourself.
editor.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
ideally, yeah, you're a rich
Yeah,
editor.
yeah. What we're trying to do is either you need to learn how to do the thing, or you need to get yourself a sugar mama or something. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I come from a TV production background from local access and stuff. And for me, there's a lot of things that I know, and I'm working on a project right now, which I can't say what it is just yet. But the big things for me was to make sure that it's well lit so you can see what's in front of the camera, which in this case, the camera's my phone. And through Amazon, I got a microphone that you plug the dongle into your phone, and I can walk around and not be near the camera, not be near the phone, and I can be heard clearly. And to me, those are the important things. You want to be able to see and hear it, first of all. And then, after that, is it any good? Did you put it together properly and stuff? But it can be done, and you guys are proving it on a daily basis. So, all right. Well, we're just about running out of time here. So, Eric, why don't you give us the information where people can find the festival, when it's going to be, and all that?
Sure. Okay. So yeah, it's June 6th and 7th. It's at the Art Theater in Long Beach. Yeah. They can go to shakagogo.com. All the information and the titles and everything, guests, everything is up there. They can also go to the Art Theater Long Beach website and find the information. It's all there as well. It's happening. We've got a cool lineup of classic cult movies on Saturday and guests. And then on Sunday, we have independent shorts, independent features in the horror and, cult movie type genres. And yeah, I think people should come down. I think people should try to see
He's turning into a
cool
monster.
art
Yeah.
in real life.
He's transforming.
Network, meet other filmmakers, and Saturday and Sunday both will be really good for that. And I said this at Monster Palooza, people are charging $150 for autographs. Come out, all the guests are doing autographs for free.
Yeah, Eric, you're breaking up there, but we're just at the end. So, first of all, I want to thank you and thank all you guys for joining
So
us.
yeah,
We got Serena, Ramsey, Nate, Brian, and Mike. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And folks, if you're anywhere near Long Beach, California, check out the Shaka Go Film Festival on June 6th and 7th at the Art Theater. And for everyone watching, thanks for spending part of your evening with us. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow the Haven Podcast Power Hour. Until next time, keep it retro, keep it cult, and keep it Haven. Good night, everybody. And I always screw this up.